it's Jennibellie. Welcome to another video. Today I'm going to share with you my junk journaling process because of a little theme I've been seeing lately, and I'm just going to share with you a couple of comments to highlight that theme. I Am an Art Girl recently posted on my Bedbox stay-at-home art kit that she does not have a huge chunk of time to sit down and devote to a project, but seeing videos like this one help keep her motivated and realise that she can create anywhere. Her canter crafter says that she also needs to break things down into smaller chunks and remember that it's not just okay to do that, but a great way to handle things on last week's video. And I also just thought it would be cool to mention your comment again, Hakanta, because your response to last week's "yeah, I'm famous because you used my comment" was so cute. So now you're famous 2 weeks in a row. So how I do my junk journaling is that I have a dedicated space for projects in progress next to my desk. I have a bunch of racks to put things that are wet on, and then I have project folders kind of either side, a set of drawers, and in one of the drawers, one of the permanent projects that I always keep in the top drawer is my junk journaling, because junk journaling is my go-to only have a moment process. So what I'm going to share with you in this video is about 2 weeks worth of junk journaling that I compiled, and on each one I'm going to share with you the exact time I spent on that particular junk journaling session. So keep an eye out down the bottom left hand side and I'll give you the exact time for each round that I have done over the past couple of weeks. Starting off with this one, which is literally 30 seconds long. All the other ones are a bit longer than this, but this is just me picking out some words that I created a while ago and just using them in this journal, and having things like this on hand or creating things like this in a little segment of time and then creating another little embellishment in a segment of time, like the flowers that I recently shared with you on my channel. It means you can give an instant arty touch that is your own to a page very quickly, even if you only have 30 seconds. One of the reasons why I keep my junk journal in these rings is because I like to move things about, add things in. A junk journal to me is just kind of like a working, constantly changing junk journal. There's no other way to put it. It's a junk journal for the junk. There's no perfection here. It's just an evolving process. At some point when I feel like I've come to a completion of the journal, I will bind it together however I want to do that. But for now, while it's still moving, shifting, and I'm creating a lot of backgrounds, I like to keep them in the rings so that I can take them out, work on several pages together. I like to work on the journal either in the journal as I am or on several pages at once, as you will see me do in other rounds. I use this a lot for creating without thought. So I do have a whole drawer full of backgrounds, or the first couple of layers of creating in the junk journal, because that's actually my favourite process. But you'll see all these processes that I'm going to do in all of these rounds over these couple of weeks are very simple. It's doodling, it's writing, it's painting, but just like when you work on any art journal page, the layers add up and they build and they become cool pages. But this process takes a long time because it is so bitty. Some of these rounds I did 5 minutes after a previous round, some I did 5 days after. But the point is, and some you'll see me do in other projects, and the junk journal is kind of just a side project to the other project. It's supposed to be that kind of bitty, whenever you've got a moment process. That's what I use it for, and that's why I'm sharing it with you, to hopefully free you guys up to thinking that you have to sit down and do a whole load of art in one go. You don't. You can do 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, and they will build up. They don't all have to be done in one go. Sometimes it's nice. I think the longest I've done in these rounds is about 30 minutes, and the very last one that you will see is me just enjoying doing a bit of art, which I could have done in my daily rituals journal that I use every day. It's just a doodle, but if I would have done it on a plain background, it wouldn't have added the layers that doing this way does. So it's a very useful process to come to for warming up, for your other artwork, for using leftover paint from other pages, for having the freedom to create without having to think much about it. When you want to come and do more of an intricate drawing like I did in the last round, then you come and do that. But you've already got a painted background, so it looks more interesting. And then you'll come in later and you'll do some journaling, and then you'll come in later and you'll do some stenciling, you'll come in later and you'll do some stamping. It's an evolutionary way of journaling, and it does require your inner critic shutting up a little bit, because mine comes out as well when I'm doing this process. It's like, you haven't done any art today, you've only done a couple of minutes in your junk journal. And this junk journal is years old, and it takes a long time to develop because I'm not dedicating myself to it every day. It's something that when I just don't know what else to do, when I don't have the focus to dedicate to a different project, when I just feel a bit blah, it's the perfect project to come to. And it's a practice in quieting the inner critic and learning to quiet the inner critic from telling you that you aren't, that this isn't how you should be doing it. Because let's face it, what's better, to do no artwork or to do 2 minutes worth of artwork? So the inner critic can go do one. If you're wondering what collage supplies I use in my junk journal, it's always out of my scrap drawer. I keep to hand, which is why you see me constantly like reaching up to the right. I keep to hand just a whole bunch of scrap papers, and this is what you'll see me use always in my junk journal. I keep it as a junk journal, so I use junk for the actual pages, junk mail, cardboard, leaflets, anything like that, and then everything that goes on, any collage elements like that, they're always scraps as well. I think it's important in a way to make sure that you never get precious in a junk journal, never get attached to what you're creating, allow the freedom to always be. So that's just an extra reason why I keep it as a true junk journal in the rawest material sense. If you have followed me for any length of time, you know that as well as using waste materials in my journals, I like to use them as mark making tools as well. So this is a tip for you guys: if you use beauty blenders, don't throw them away when you no longer want to use them on your face. They are great as sponges, and obviously any found objects. But if you have concealer or mascara, even anything like that, once you have finished with the product, just clean the product off and you have some pretty awesome mark making tools. Mascara ones are great, they give, or spoolies, they give a really nice texture. I think you guys have seen, this is in some sort of video where I shared doing this. It might have been in my monthly challenge group, birthday bash. I've been in junk journaling, I can't remember because I've done that much now, but putting an elastic band around a plastic fork works brilliantly too. And if you're wondering what I'm rummaging around in, packaging, I just have a drawer that's so overflowing it is ridiculous. I've just found objects that you can just use to mark make with. I mean, this full. Really full, always bulging out. So there's things like rollers off of cosmetic products, they're quite cool, deodorants and stuff like that. Cosmetic brushes. This was a brush from, I think, a steamer. You know, I like steaming your clothes. Honestly guys, I kind of don't want to go into this because it's so so rammed. Oh, pens, straws, peanut things. Yeah, those peanutty things. You get the idea. Stay. Those of you who are in the monthly challenge group on my art journaling community journal workshops saw me create something else with my beauty product waste a few days ago. But I just find it so annoying. The packaging on things like moisturizer and things is just so darn amazing. Same with things like pasta sauce jars and glass bottles and things like that. I just think it's crazy to throw all of that away. So things like the moisturizer jars I tend to use for my art supplies and make stackable containers out of them, and just think about all of the containers that we buy to store our stuff in that cost quite a bit, to be honest, from craft stores. And to be honest, there's a lot that's going through your skincare or your kitchen that can be reused for this stuff. While we're on the stenciling page, I like to do things like this with the junk journal when you have several pages together. That gives a continuation when you put them back into your journal through the whole journal. So even though I'm using different stencils for these backgrounds, using the same colour, which I think is Payne's Grey, just gives it that continuation, and I just use it and use it and use it until, you know, I've got no paint left, because I don't like wasting my paint. So it gets progressively lighter as I use it on the stencils, but it still gives that, I guess it's like a theme when they're all back together in your journal to your pages. So here you see me doing my trick of using my leftover ink from a different project. So I don't really consider this a junk journaling round because I was doing something else, but you know, put it in just to show you. And this round I think I've got to explain because I did nothing but cut this little watercolour I did and want to put it in my junk journal, but it didn't go anywhere and I wasn't inspired by it, so I just put it in the journal with my supplies ready for later. And that can just sometimes be one of your rounds, is just sitting there and going through your stuff and looking at what you've got and just being with the project. You don't always even have to be creating to be creative, and I know that's revolutionary to our inner critics, but sometimes just sitting in the studio can make you feel better. So don't feel bad, guys, if any of you have been in a creative block lately or ever or you just feel like you don't want to start these projects because you're overwhelmed or you've got too many ideas or too much on your plate or whatever it is that's kind of giving you a bit of resistance to doing the actual creating. Just go into your studio and look through your stuff and just enjoy doing that, and maybe something will inspire, maybe it won't, it doesn't matter. You are being creative, you are filling the well, you are getting some juices flowing without actually having to do the creating that the block isn't allowing you to do. And this drawing is just the one I mentioned earlier. I just felt like sitting down and doing kind of a symmetrical kind of mandala, kind of sun motif, and I just sat here for a few minutes and just enjoyed the process. As I said earlier, I could have done it in a different journal, but if it would have been on a blank page, it wouldn't have built. I wouldn't have done anything else with it. I'd have just left it there in my journal, which is fine, because I do that quite a bit, to be honest, so it's not like I think there's anything wrong with that, because I don't. But for this particular page, and if you want to start a junk journal or do it this way where you are constantly building, just think about those little things that you might want to do just as stress relief or to practice on, etc. Just doing them in your junk journal so that it all comes together in these lovely layers that you are putting into your junky journal. So that was my junk journaling process, guys. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Please leave a comment below. Let me know that you liked it. Let me know what you might want to see in the future, or any ideas that you have, or any contribution that you have to the junk journaling conversation. And also, please hit the notifications bell on my channel, guys. I can't stress that enough, to make sure that you actually see my videos, because YouTube is being selective, let's say, in who it shows what to. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and then hit all on the notifications bell to get future Jennibellie videos. Much love, everybody. I hope you have an awesome week. Mwah. Bye.